Hello and welcome to a brand new edition of Fineprint. I'm Molly Gambhir. Weather across the world is touching new records, with heat wave now becoming the new normal, it seems. Several countries are battling rising temperatures and raging wildfires. And if a recent study is to be believed, the situation will only get worse in the coming years. Let's begin with taking a look at Asia. An intense heat wave continued to blanket Japan, with mercury going up as high as 40.2 degrees Celsius in some areas. An unprecedented heat wave has also affected daily lives of the people of South Korea, with Seoul touching 39.6 degrees Celsius, which is the highest ever since the year 1907. Moving on to Spain, which is currently battling a raging wildfire in the forest of Nerva. And the tourists visiting Italy, too, have been held off guard, with thermometers hitting 38 degrees Celsius in many parts of the country. Authorities have issued red alarm for as many as 18 cities, including Florence, Rome, Venice and Verona. Meanwhile, Christmas has arrived early, it seems, for London. Amidst the rising mercury, a departmental store has opened its Christmas store for the early birds. In Berlin, it is a newly opened ice bar that has come to the rescue of several Berliners as they battle temperatures touching 30 degrees Celsius, which is high as compared to the average around this time of the year. Meanwhile, around 55 lives were lost in Canada due to the intense heat wave-related incidents this year. Heat wave simmered across the United States as well for nearly 2 weeks, with 37 U.S. states recording an all-time high temperature. And in a first of its kind, a study published in a journal called the PLOS Medicine has estimated that the number of heat wave-related deaths in 412 communities across 20 countries by 2080. And the figures will alarm you. The study was headed by Professor Yoming Go of the Monash University. It found that as compared to the period between 1971 and 2020, and under extreme scenario, the Australian cities of Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne would witness a 471% increase in heat wave deaths. The study's result suggests that stricter mitigation policies should be applied to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. It also suggests that lower greenhouse gas emissions are linked with fewer deaths due to heat waves. So even as 37 U.S. states recorded all-time high temperatures and wildfires in California rage on, what is the Trump administration doing to douse concerns? You would believe it is working overtime to tackle many of those challenges, but in quite a sharp contrast, it is fueling fresh worries. On Thursday, the Donald Trump administration put forth a proposal to weaken one of former President Barack Obama's signature policies to combat global warming. Trump's plan, called Make Cars Great Again, aims to roll back a 2012 rule that required automakers to nearly double the fuel economy of passenger vehicles. The aim overall of that 2012 plan was to cut the nation's greenhouse gas emissions while reducing oil consumption. The withdrawal of the rule would mean doing away with requirements that automakers build cleaner and more fuel-efficient vehicles. The plan was made public through a statement that was titled Make Cars Great Again. It's not just environmentalists and consumer groups now that are up in arms against the Trump administration. Commuters and locals on the ground too have voiced their concerns.
Well, the air quality around here hasn't been great, and it hasn't been great for a long time. I think that that's probably the opposite direction that we should be moving in. I think there should be more stringent regulations and not less.
I think it's really horrible, because I feel like it doesn't not only affects, I feel like it affects everyone, I guess, in a way, because just by doing that, it's just going to make everything worse. And as we know, he doesn't believe in global warming or like that.
And because the proposal would revoke the states' rights to set their own pollution standards, a group of 19 states, including California, announced their plans to sue the administration if it finalizes that rule. the attorneys general of the state said they expected to focus on countering the claim that cleaner cars would lead to more crash fatalities. They argue that the U.S. has an obligation to protect the environment for future generations.
So what this means for California is that we're going to have increased pollution and we're going to have increased greenhouse gas emissions. And California has set very ambitious targets to reduce our carbon footprint. And ultimately, this stands in the way of meeting those goals and trying to prevent climate change. And again, there's the public health component. Because people are exposed to more auto emissions than they otherwise would have, you're going to see a degradation in California's air quality because of this decision. And not just in California, but those 12 other states in Washington, D.C., which follow our standards. That's about 118 million people, or 1/3 of the automotive market.
We intend to submit comments on what we believe is an egregious proposal that violates the law and is damaging to the interests of the people of this country when it comes to improving air quality. And we are prepared to do whatever it takes after the comment period, should the administration continue to try to undermine existing clean car standards, to do everything to protect the national standards in place and certainly to protect California's waiver.
And the auto industry should be worried by this plan to sue the administration, since many U.S. states have adopted California's emission rules. And together, these states make up about 1/3 of the U.S. auto market. This week's publication of the proposed rule in the Federal Register marks a significant legal step in the process of weakening the Obama rule. The administration will next ask the public to formally submit comments before issuing a final version. Most likely, that will happen this year. Environmentalists plan to launch a campaign to generate public comments.